There's a white powder sitting in a bag in the garage. It has been there for 3 years. One application. 3 years ago. And in that entire time, not a single ant in the kitchen. Not a single cockroach under the sink. Not a single flea on the dog. $3 of powder. One afternoon. 3 years of protection. I'm not going to tell you this is some new chemical invention. It isn't. It's older than the dinosaurs. It was here 30 million years before the first human ever walked the earth. And the reason the pest control industry doesn't want you to know about it is exactly what you'd expect. You already know this material. You've seen it your whole life and never known what it was. That fine white dust on the bottom of a swimming pool filter. That chalky white powder in the soil of any garden center. That's fossilized algae. Microscopic marine organisms that lived in ancient oceans 30 million years ago, died, sank to the bottom, and turned to stone. And those fossilized shells are the most effective non-toxic insect killer ever discovered. Here's what's actually happening when diatomaceous earth contacts an insect. Insects have a waxy protective coating on their exoskeleton. That coating is what keeps them hydrated. Without it, they die. Diatomaceous earth doesn't poison insects. It doesn't release chemicals. It doesn't need to be ingested. The microscopic fossilized shells are razor sharp at the molecular level. When an insect walks through diatomaceous earth, those razor edges slice through the waxy coating on its exoskeleton. The insect dehydrates. Within 48 hours, it's dead. And here's the part that makes this different from every pesticide ever manufactured. Insects cannot develop resistance to it. Chemical pesticides target biological pathways. Insects mutate. They find workarounds. That's why pesticide companies release new formulations every few years. Diatomaceous earth works mechanically, not chemically. You cannot evolve around a microscopic razor blade. There is no resistance mechanism. There is no workaround. It kills the same way today that it killed 30 million years ago. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has been documenting the effectiveness of diatomaceous earth since the 1950s. It has been approved by the FDA as safe for human consumption. Food-grade diatomaceous earth is used in grain storage facilities across North America to prevent insect infestation without contaminating the food supply. In World War II, military researchers documented its effectiveness against stored grain pests in field conditions where chemical pesticides were unavailable or impractical. Ancient Roman grain stores were lined with chalky mineral deposits. Archaeologists now believe many of these deposits were naturally occurring diatomaceous earth that kept grain stores insect-free for centuries. 2,000 years ago, the same material, the same mechanism, still working. The global pest control market generates over $22 billion annually. The average American household spends $300 to $500 per year on pest control services and products. A $3 bag of diatomaceous earth that lasts a full season and kills every insect that contacts it without a single synthetic chemical is not something that industry has any incentive to advertise. You can't sell a monthly service contract to someone who applied white powder once and solved their problem permanently. I came across this when we had an ant problem that wouldn't quit. 3 different commercial products: sprays, bait traps, border treatments. The ants came back every time. A neighbor mentioned diatomaceous earth. I bought a $3 bag, applied it once along every entry point. The ants were gone in 48 hours. I stood there looking at a $3 bag of fossilized algae that had solved in 2 days what 3 commercial products couldn't solve in 3 months. Here's exactly how to use it. And I want to be honest first, this is the simplest application on this entire channel. But there's one critical mistake that most people make that makes it completely ineffective. I'll show you that in a moment. Food-grade diatomaceous earth only, not pool-grade. Pool-grade diatomaceous earth has been heat-treated and the particles are rounded, not sharp. It doesn't work for pest control, and it's dangerous to inhale. Food-grade only. Available at any garden center or on Amazon. A 2-pound bag costs $3 to $5 and treats an entire house. Application. Apply a thin, dry layer along any surface where insects travel. Entry points: door frames, window sills, gaps around pipes, cracks in baseboards. Around the perimeter of any room where insects have been seen. Around pet bedding for fleas. In garden beds for crawling pests. Thin and dry is the key. And this is the mistake most people make. They apply it thick. A thick layer of diatomaceous earth is visible to insects. They walk around it. A thin, barely visible dusting is invisible and unavoidable. The insect walks through it without knowing it's there. That's when it works. Thin, dry, invisible. One application lasts until it gets wet. Reapply after rain outdoors or after mopping indoors. That's the entire maintenance schedule. Now here's the upgrade that most people never think of, and it turns this from a pest killer into a complete pest prevention system. Apply it in your walls. Any gap around electrical outlets, pipe penetrations, or cable entries is a highway for insects into your living space. A small puff of diatomaceous earth into each of those gaps with a cheap squeeze applicator, $2 at any hardware store, treats every hidden pathway that insects use to enter your home. Invisible, permanent until disturbed, working 24 hours a day while you do nothing. One honest note, because it always belongs here. Diatomaceous earth kills insects by contact and dehydration. It works best in dry conditions. In very humid environments, the particles absorb moisture and lose their cutting effectiveness. Reapply more frequently in high humidity areas or after any moisture exposure. And wear a dust mask when applying. Food-grade diatomaceous earth is safe to breathe in small amounts, but any fine dust inhaled in quantity is not good for your lungs. Apply it, let it settle, then the room is safe. The global pesticide market has grown every single year for the last 30 years. More products, more formulations, more monthly service contracts. And every year, the same insects find new resistance mechanisms and come back. The fossilized algae in a $3 bag has been killing insects the same way for 30 million years. No resistance, no workaround, no monthly bill. Somewhere in the last century, as the hardware store filled up with branded pesticides in branded containers, this knowledge stopped being passed down. The old knowledge just quietly sat on a shelf and gathered dust. Threes, one afternoon, and it's back in your hands. I don't know what brought you here. Maybe it's the ants that keep finding their way back no matter what you try. Maybe it's the fleas that commercial treatments never quite eliminate. Maybe it's the garden pests that are eating everything you worked all season to grow. Maybe you just like knowing what Roman grain stores knew 2,000 years ago and ended up here at midnight following a question you couldn't stop. It doesn't matter. The powder works either way. Now you know how. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.